coming off back-to-back 4-13 disappointing seasons, just a half-decade removed from being the gold standard of the National Football League, the New England Patriots, without a head coach, needed to find someone who could restore order, structure, tone, direction, discipline, proper behavior, and so much more back to the franchise. And it seems as though they may have just now finally found their guy. And turns out he's a big fan of the club.
But I also want you not to take this organization for granted. I've been a lot of places. This is a special place with great leadership, great fans, great direction, great coaching. Enjoy it. It's not like this everywhere.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to find out if it can actually be like that here all over again, as Robert Kraft is set to name Mike Vrabel as the 16th HC of the NEP. And I am pleased to be joined today on a live Six Rings and Football Things by one of my favorite follows on the Twitter platform, Beau from Boer Sports. You can give him a follow at Boer Sports. And of course, your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens from WEEI, the Six Rings postgame show, and more here, talking about the latest linebacker or former linebacker of the New England Patriots to be named head coach. Beau, I got to say right now, if this doesn't work out, who's your money on? Is it on Jamie Collins, Roman Pfeiffer, or Teddy Bruschi to be next up?
I'd go Bruschi. I'm a Bruschi guy. Like, fuck it. Let's go. Like,
right.
Bruschi for sure.
Now, did you hear yesterday, actually, on ESPN? This was one of my favorite sound bites. There were a lot of great sound bites that circulated from former players that used to line up against Vrabel. And we all know what a giant guy he is, what a giant pain in the ass he is. We've been told many times he, Ty Law, and Rodney Harrison were like the mighty triumvirate of people Belichick allowed to bitch back at him at practice, that used to get under Brady's skin all the time. Smart, cocky, arrogant, tough guys. And they like, it's that kind of swag that we need brought back to the team. But Bruschi on ESPN Sunday said, you know, this is the right move. This is my guy. I love this guy. I'll go to the mattresses for him. We expected that. But then he said, for anyone who thinks that you're just going to get a Belichick clone, that you're just going to get another iteration, like a giant football playing version, Mike Vrabel is more Parcells than he is Belichick. And I think I wanted to like that, and I kind of like that. What do you think that means?
I don't know what that means. But I kind of like it. I think Vrabel has a lot of stuff that Belichick does have, and like, but without a lot of like the technical stuff. Like he has like a lot of the attention to detail that Belichick had. Um, I, I don't remember Parcells, to be honest. Like I was young when Parcells was there. What about Parcells to you is different than Belichick? Like can we get there that way?
Just I think rather like Parcells was not afraid to be big, loud, brash. Belichick a little more, at least in the public persona. Belichick a little more understated and cutting. Parcells a big guy. Obviously, Belichick not a big guy. Mike Vrabel, no. I've referred to him as football Hagrid. I mean, he's a giant human being. He's a big dude. There are obviously similarities between the two, but I think in terms of just like being an overly analytical genius versus just like an all-encompassing, loud, significant, like arrogant presence. I think that's a lot of what, like, and appropriately so, because Mike Vrabel had a great career. He's in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He was good his first time around as coach. So, again, that's like one of those comps I wanted to like, but I think by and large, though, this is more just about like everybody wanting to jump on board with a direction. Last week, right after Gerard Mayo was dismissed, and were you surprised that it was, before I get to this, were you surprised Mayo was let go as quickly as he was?
Kind of. Yeah, I thought it would be like, a couple days or something. If you mean in terms of like the single year, no, he deserved to go. He should have went. It was a disaster. So he definitely should have been fired. If you mean 90 minutes after the game,
yeah,
a little surprising. Yeah, that part was a little surprising.
Yeah, no, I think we've all like legislated and put forth cases in the past week plus of, look, Gerard, did you get done dirty? Yes. There's no denying that, surrounding him with the lack of talent and him bringing that very limited Rolodex to the party did him no favors. But at the same time, did he make enough moves and
I
mistakes?
lost you.
Yep, you're all good. You're right back in it, baby. Did he make and we thank everyone who's watching live and participating as we broadcast on the Fitzy GFY and WEI socials on the latest Six Rings and Football Things podcast.
I'm probably still there, like fucking just
a little out of sync, just like the rest of us after wild card weekend. So the big thing to me was, and hopefully we'll just reconnect here with Beau from Borscht momentarily. Had a little technical difficulty. There we are. I think we're back. Yes, like Mayo had to go at that point. Did he need to go 15 minutes or 70?
I lost you, Fitz, but I fucking lost you, brother.
I can hear you, pal. All right. Well, I guess we had a little technical difficulty there, so I'll just keep going. Did Jerod Mayo deserve to be let go 75 minutes after the game? No. Did he need to go, though, because of the mess that had been made? Yes. And now, in Mike Vrabel, we bring back somebody who will, first of all, clean house and restore order. Somebody who's going to step in and clean up Isle Foxborough. Somebody who is going to put in motion a style, a tone, a direction, toughness, the legitimate, the intensity that Patriots football used to be based around. I think you could just go back to his playing style, as I previously mentioned, the fact that he was one of the guys who most notoriously used to bark at Brady, used to bark at Belichick. He wasn't like a why guy like Mac Jones. He was a guy that would clap back and get under people's skin because he's smart. And also for everyone who says like, oh, here we go, it's just going to be Belichick 2.0, just younger, bigger, and more experienced on the field. Look, this is not a Belichick coaching tree type of guy. This is not just somebody like Patricia, like McDaniels, like Charlie Weiss, like the others who famously flamed out as head coaches somewhere else, Joe Judge, because they tried to be a Belichick clone. Mike Vrabel may remind you of Belichick. Like Teddy Bruschi said, he'll remind you a lot of Bill Parcells. But one thing he's not going to do is be anything but himself. He's going to bring accountability. He's going to bring intensity. He's going to bring intelligence. He's going to bring preparation. A lot of the things that it sounds like, as we read a lot of the post-mortem pieces last week on Jerod Mayo, it sounds like the organization was missing over the course of Mayo's first year. Whatever kind of coach Jerod Mayo was going to become, unfortunately, the decisions that were made by the franchise kind of doomed and damned him from the start. So obviously he'll need to lick his wounds, figure things out. But now in comes somebody who coached in the NFL for almost 6 full seasons and brought a pretty impressive resume as a player back to the field as well. Technical difficulties have been rectified. The Borscht is back, just like the New England Patriots, baby. The Borscht is back.
Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go.
Was I like sitting there frozen for a while, or like?
Nah, it's just one of those things. There was a ghost in the machine. See, this is like, last year under the Jerod Mayo era, a mistake like this would have led to multiple touchdowns for the other team, a lot of head scratching. Somebody, Rothstein in Gerod's ear as he looks emotionless on the sideline. This is the kind of thing that would now bring back Vrabel slamming his clipboard into the ground, somebody getting an earful, and then the Patriots figuring out a way to turn it around. So,
which I like. I mean, I like that fiery shit. Like I called him a hardo hire, which I absolutely agree. Yep. Like he's a hardo hire, like 100%. Like he's like a Dan Campbell to me. He's not like an X's and O's guy. But I come across on Twitter like I don't like the hire. I do like Mike Vrabel. I love Mike Vrabel, and I think the hire can work out. I just think specifically things need to happen for it to work out, and that stuff hasn't really happened yet. So I'm like apprehensive about the hire, just to say the least.
So a lot of people believe, like this comment, Mo Marie Labrie, who's watching on Facebook Live as we record the latest Six Rings. It is what it is with Mayo. Vrabel should have been the pick last year, period. I just hope he'll have the flexibility to straighten up the draft picks. We'll get into how we think this is going to work with people he's going to bring in to be part of the personnel department, with the people he's going to have to work with, most notably Elliott Wolf, who's coming off a bad free agency period and a really bad first draft. But he also kind of tried to defend himself last week, saying like, well, we thought these players were going to develop better, which sounded like the carcasses of the coaches of the 2024 Patriots being thrown right under the bus on the way to TF Green Airport as well.
100%.
Um, so let's just get this out of the way real quick before we bring you some true insight as to what kind of coach Mike Vrabel is going to be, straight from one of the players who was most successful with him in his Tennessee Titans time. To me, this is one of those high floor, medium ceiling moves. If it was a Ben Johnson, we'll say, because he was the only other candidate I think anybody thought had a chance.
Yeah.
But it like the show on the Marvel Disney one. It was Agatha all along. Like, no, this was Vrabel all along. We all knew that. There weren't even sports books that were putting out odds on it because it was such a no brainer, right? So to me, higher floor, medium ceiling. Ben Johnson could have been a lower floor, but a potentially higher ceiling
Oh, for
candidate
sure.
because people were trying to reach for a contemporary comp. Beau. It was, no, man, I want to see my Reed and Mahomes 2.0, or like I want to see Johnson with a plus level Goff type of choice.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you could have gotten Adam Gase, right? Like, you have no idea what he's going to be. It's the mystery box, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I just think people wanted that higher ceiling, myself included. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to pair May with an offensive guy that I knew was going to be like there for a while, right? And if you pair him with the head coach, you have him there for years. You don't have to worry about shifting chairs like with the OCs and things like that, because we have no idea who the OC is going to be under Vrabel. So I really have no idea who's going to be taking care of May, and that's pretty important. It's not the only thing. I mean, people are like acting like it's the only thing, and people acting like it doesn't matter. It's somewhere in the middle, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a big component. If they fuck up May like they fucked up Mac, I don't think they can. I think May's a different kind of dude. Um,
He's a bit more of a diamond, if you will,
yeah,
whereas Mac turned out to be putty. Really,
yeah,
it's sad to say.
physically and mentally, I think May is just, it's not even remotely close. Mac was, I don't know, coddled his whole life, it seems like, and didn't have
Mm-hmm.
the physical tools May has.
That's
I
why
think
he
May is
that's
that
why he
dude.
was Mac in row. Like literally, he was a well-to-do
Yeah,
tennis brat from the Jacksonville area
yeah,
who had
yeah.
some good compete and intensity and talent about him. And it was good his senior year in a domed environment with an all-pro offensive line and a bunch of number one draft picks surrounding him at running
Sure.
back and wide receiver. Put him through
Absolutely.
the Belichick intensity and take Josh McDaniels away from him. And that wasn't happening. All right, let's respond to this real quick before we get into on that note, Scott Latham, watching live on Facebook right now, says it may not be the same tree with Mike Vrabel, but he's basically the same person as Bill Belichick. Agree to disagree. What is with all the nostalgia and not wanting to modernize the organization? Do you think this is, by the Crafts, a comfort and nostalgia pick? Like, we got to hold, like, we need to look forward, but we got to hold on to the Patriot way. Or is it sort of like, well, we know what this guy can do, kind of effed up last year. Our bad. We'll take a mulligan on the 2024 season and bring in the guy now that we should have hired once he became available in the first place.
Yeah, I think you can do both. I think it's a nostalgia kind of like safe pick, right? But I think like they need to modernize the staff a little bit. I mentioned the other day, and we need to know who the offensive coordinator is, the defensive coordinator, but I also want to modernize it a little bit. So there's the pass game coordinator, the run game coordinator on both sides of the ball. So you can filter these coaches up, right? So you have that pipeline of coaches to draw from. I think that's important with one of these hardo hires, one of these variable types, one of these Campbell types, because we have no idea what's going to happen to the Lions when they lose their offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator if that happens. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we don't know how much of that is Dan Campbell and how much of that is the scheme around him. But they have guys on the in the pipeline. They have a
Right.
passing game coordinator, they have run game coordinators, they have guys they can draw from. If we're just drawing from the tight ends coach in 3 years to pull up as the OC,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with the nostalgia hire if they modernize the system a little bit and allow us to grow, like, and keep talent inside. The
Mm-hmm.
brain drain is brutal, but it's going to happen. It's the nature of the league. You're going to have, like, May is going to get somebody a job eventually. It's not ADP, but somebody. It won't be McDaniels, so maybe
Right.
McDaniels is the option, right? But that's kind of boring in its own way. But I'm warming up to it. Just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because I'll talk myself into whatever the fuck, because at the end of the day, I'm a fan and I just want to have fun on Sunday, and I'll
Yeah.
basically talk myself into anything.
Yeah, I would have loved the FAFO, the fuck around and find out component to Ben Johnson, because that offense could have been positively electrifying.
Dude, it would have been
And
fun.
it is that buffet of fourth overall pick. It should have been the first, you jackasses, and all the subsequent picks that would have come with it, you dinks. But it is the pick. It is 130 million in cap space, and it is the diamond, if you will, that is Drake May, who is waiting to be unlocked after a very impressive rookie season and taken to the next level. There's a reason why the Orlovskis and the Ben Solaks and all the other talking heads on all your various streaming sports portals said the New England Patriots, even though they're coming off this massively dysfunctional, disappointing season, were the most attractive job. It's because of the money. It's because of the desperation of the ownership and fan base to see them be good again. And thank God, at least I think we're going to get something we can watch and not want to stab our eyes out again. And it's because the QB. Yeah.
Yeah, because of the QB, absolutely. Because of all the shit you said. And it really was like, it's the top destination. Like, I don't know anyone that says it wasn't the top destination. And that's why, for me, I had reservations about rushing the process. Like, people were like, "Oh, you got to lock down Vrabel. You got to lock down this. You don't got to do shit. If you're the top job, you have that leverage until you give it away." And I feel like they just gave it away by just throwing everything like into the Vrabel basket, right? They could have waited. Like, who was it? The Panthers hired Matt Rule in January 7th, right? I looked at it this morning. The Jaguars hired Urban Meyer on, I think, the 10th or the 12th of January. Like, we got to get this guy. This is our guy. Like, how does that "this is our guy" shit work out half the time? It doesn't. I mean,
It doesn't.
Vrabel's better than those guys. I hope. I mean, he certainly has some cachet in the league and has done it before. But I don't think the whole notion of we have to do this fast is like a true story. I don't think you had to do it fast. This was the best job. This wasn't something that you needed to get done the first week of January.
Yeah, and obviously Vrabel's he's no dummy. Like, he interviews with the Jets to put a little pressure on him.
So,
Then there's report, talking to the Bears. Ooh, Brady might be interested. Here comes the leverage play, Mr. Kraft, without being able to come out and say it to make people awkward or, futz around with the process. This was basically Vrabel standing in the driveway with his Camaro parked diagonally with a boombox over his head, but instead of playing In Your Eyes, he's playing Let's Go, so I get it. Now, I wanted to share this clip. It's a little long. It's whether you're watching live or especially if you're listening to the podcast, this is worth the listen. It's 2 minutes long. This started making the rounds this morning. This is former Tennessee Titans left tackle Taylor Lewan, who had an excellent career. Unfortunately, injuries kind of did him in and cut his career short. He played for years with the Titans, and he was a quintessentially Vrabel type of guy. And he's a fan, and he outlines here exactly for Patriots fans that are curious, like, are we just getting the same guy that used to play for the Patriots? No, you're getting a different guy. You're still getting Bill Belichick? No, you're getting a different guy. Listen to this. I found this insight to be fascinating.
Good morning, boys. Happy Sunday. Beautiful Sunday. Sun's shining outside. A lot of things to be positive about. New England Patriots fans, you have a lot to be excited about. Got Mike Vrabel in the building. Culture is going to be incredible. You guys are going to win games. Those tough, one-score games, you're going to win them. That's how Mike Vrabel works. That guy is going to have his team knowing the ins and outs. Now, if you're a player, come here. You need to keep your fucking head on a swivel, okay? You need to understand that shit is about to be really hard for a little bit, and it's going to be okay. But just know, you're about to go in hell for a little bit. You're going to be sitting there in the locker room. You're getting small groups. Who the fuck is this guy? Why is he talking to us like this? Who does he think he is? Yeah, he played in the league, whatever. By the way, in that first team, he's going to tell you how many years he played in the league. And he's going to reference it forever. Not a bad thing. Boys, I'm telling you, it's going to work out. I was a part of it. I was in those small little groups at first, and then you start to get away from be like, yo, this dude knows what the fuck he's talking about. But keep your butthole tight in those team meeting rooms. You've got to keep your butthole tight, because he's going to have guys stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? People that are more prestigious in like the topper tier players, especially if you're a rookie. If you're watching this and you're in the combine right now and you get drafted by the Patriots, congratulations. But also keep your fucking head on a swivel now. You need to dial that thing in. He's going to have you stand up. Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Learn the janitor's name. Learn everybody's name. Learn everything. Now you get into the season and you're going to get team keys: offense, defense, special teams. This is how you're going to win the game. He's going to paint a beautiful picture for you. The guy's stage presence is top tier for a coach. He thinks he's a comedian. Laugh at the jokes. They're not always going to be great. Laugh at the jokes anyway. He thinks he's a comedian. He is going to burn the team keys into your head. But if you play offense like I did, you need to know defense and special teams as well. Not a worse feeling in the world sitting in that team meeting and not having all the answers right here in the front of the head when he calls on you, Lawan, and you're like, oh my God, what is the defense doing on the second team key? You got to know it. And it's not like, well, because then you're dead. You got to pop them things out, boys. I'm just telling you, you got to pop them things out. It's going to work out. I swear to God, it's going to get tough at times. And he can be nasty. But boys, you're going to win some games now. You're going to win some games. All right? You guys are in a good little spot. Big hugs, tiny kisses. Good luck.
All right. So to me, that's exactly when I woke up on Monday from someone with perspective and influence and experience like Taylor Lewan. That is exactly what I wanted to hear.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. The thing that really stood out to me on that was the team keys. That seems very Belichickian. Like that's like do these three things and we win the game. Like
Mhm.
that seems very simple. But that's a Belichick principle. Like do this, do this, do this, we win. So I'm glad that's carrying over, and I hope that that shit works out.
Yeah, it sounds like he also, as we've heard before, uses his experience, uses his intellect, and uses his size basically to intimidate people and keep them in line. Just from the jump, though, like how excited are you? I think we sort of mentioned previously, but like how excited are you just to see like a dialed in, prepared, proper operation as opposed to the, you know, I feel like last year it was like, let's make a deal. Whereas like behind door number one, there could be a car. Behind door number two or under the box, it's a pile of rotting fish heads. Like
Yeah,
at least
like
now
brutal.
we're gonna like the car we may get win is not going to be sexy, but it's going to get us from A to B.
Yeah, I hope so. Like, I think that it will be one of those years that, like, if you win the tight games, you go from 4-13 to maybe 8-9, right? Like, I'm not expecting a giant leap. The roster's still the roster. Who knows what they're gonna do in the draft? The way that like they're talking about like the the way Vrabel's gonna be talking to these kids. Are we going to have a wide receiver room next year? Like
Oh
half of
my
these
yeah.
kids like have themselves in the Hall of Fame already, and like they're gonna get culture shock. They're gonna be like, what the fuck? So it's like, are any of these people going to be on the team next year?
That's a great question. Like, what's going to happen to the sensitive? Like, I don't even know what they are now. Like, is it Gen X? Is it Gen Y? I don't
Oh
know.
Jesus.
I don't care.
What are we
It,
on? We're on like Zoomers now. Are they
yeah.
Zoomers? I don't know. I'm fucking 40 something, bro.
I
Like I
know.
can't keep
Dude, I
track of this
turned
shit.
51 in 6 days. Come on. Like I know, but I'm supposed to because I got young kids.
We're
Um,
cooked.
and we traffic in social media, obviously, and contemporary sports dialogue and shit. But yeah, like these kids that are going to be expecting like to be coddled, like, oh, okay, everyone pull out your phones. It's time for a social media break. Like Mayo was all about trying to cultivate things in the feelings room. It's silo free.
Yeah.
Let's do person. And Vrabel's going to be like, oh, that shit was fun. Just wipes it right off the
Yeah,
table.
like
Like, shut your mouth and
complete
like,
180.
yeah. Now it's time for like Jelani Tavai got in trouble for like Patriots fans should know their role. Like, no, this is truly know your role and shut your mouth time.
Yeah.
Uh, which
If
which
Vrabel says do your job at the press conference, it's over for me. I'm like 100% all in. Like that's all I want. Like this North Star horse shit and like whatever the fuck Mayo was trying to pull last
right.
year, like that shit. Like no way. Do your job should be like that belongs to the Patriots. I don't care. 30 years from now, they should be saying do your job.
Yeah,
Just
Bill
like
Bill, Bill
Vegas,
should
they
have.
say just win or whatever the fuck they say.
Yes,
I
oh,
don't
the
know. I don't
Raiders are
care.
just win, baby. Like
Yeah,
that's it. That's a great thing. Bring back do your job. Make New
always.
England do their job. That's it. We're leaving this podcast. The new thing. You and I will split all the rev share in this.
Perfect.
Make New England do their job again. That's it.
What's half of zero?
My life. But like there, I saw on Twitter, like a friend replied to Mike Reese like last week as he was like finally taking the Mayo era to task. and it was the photos of the two of like the sign that Belichick had coming into the building and the sign coming out. Like it was like, be quiet, ignore the noise,
Yeah.
put the team ahead of you first, like the tenets of the Belichick era. You know, a little paranoid, a little rigid, obviously, but also structurally important and fundamentally sound. And it worked. Like the organization had purpose and drive and tone. That
Yeah.
was what everything. I know that's what Mayo wanted to establish, but it sorely lacked it in the past year.
Did he though? Like, I don't know. Like he's talked too much. Like he wanted to be like the best friend of everybody. Like that's another thing. Vrabel is gonna shut these fucking people down. Like the media that are like lauding the fact that Vrabel's coming to town. Like, yeah, talk to you next year at this time. You're gonna
Right.
hate his guts because he's gonna give you nothing, and he's
Mhm.
gonna make fun of you and like make you feel like shit. And I'm all for it. Like I'm absolutely all for it because that's what Mayo should have did. Like this town is unique with media. Like they are fucking outrageous. The shit they try and pull is outrageous. So it's like just shut them down. Say go fuck yourself. Like nope, I'm not giving you a thing, and it's over. Like that's it. Don't try and be their best friend because they're going to kill you in 6 months. So it's
Right.
not worth any of that.
All these guys, the ones that, I've gotten to know a little bit as I, toe the line between like, being one of the cheerleaders on the Jumbotron at the stadium, but then also being on the radio and having
Yeah.
to get to know these guys is, Mike Vrabel may not know Andrew Callahan and Doug Kyde, but he knows Karen Garegian. He knows Andy Hart. He knows Mike Giardi. Like he's got relationships from his playing days with these guys. So it is going to be fascinating to watch him get to know. He's going to be like, well, you the new guy? What you got? You think you're funny? Huh? You got a lot of Twitter followers? Here's how many fucks I give. 0.
Zero. And it's
That's
like
exactly
there's some
how
like
it's going to be.
there's a couple guys that obviously everyone follows, like Taylor Kyle, Devin Lazar. They're more into like the scheme and shit.
Right.
I wouldn't bring that shit up to Mike Vrabel.
I may
I
have to
wouldn't
have
ask Mike Vrabel about this or that scheme. I wouldn't do that. Like,
no.
feel free to do that, but you're gonna get fucking shut down.
I
Taylor,
may
don't
have to
do it.
yeah, speaking of needing to keep some buttholes tight, those
Yeah.
guys, like, I love Taylor too. I know Evan, like Alex Bart, these guys are gonna be like, oh, coach, what is it? Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? Hold on, everyone. I need to take 5 minutes right now to tell, so and so, exactly what I was thinking on this plan. Like, I'm the head coach of the New England Patriots, I'll tell you when I feel like it. It's gonna be great. I mean, like, I think people are like, they're going to listen to this podcast. They're going to watch him at the presser today. And I think because we're recording this Monday morning in the 10 a.m. hour, 12 o'clock today, of course, is the presser where Vrabel gets reintroduced now as head coach. And I think people are going to start to get excited again. Like, okay, all right, this is why Mike Vrabel is fun. This is why everyone respects this guy. And for all the people that say it's just a nostalgia hire, A, he doesn't give a shit. And B, you'll slowly but surely jump on the bandwagon as well. All right, let's get into a quick coordinator and personnel talk, and then we'll wrap it, Guy.
Sure.
So we don't know who's going to, like, nobody has been blown out except for Gerard Mayo. So basically, Vrabel's going to be able to come in and look at everybody from AVP to Covington, who's already taken interviews elsewhere with the
Yeah, he
Bengals.
seems gone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's kind of out the door. He could pick from all the previous people, maybe try to offer them new assignments and whatnot. I think by and large, everyone's going to go. I could see 2 people sticking around. I could see Springer because the special teams were much better this year, and he's a high energy guy. I bet he would love to work with Vrabel. Would you be surprised if AVP were offered like QB coach?
Nope. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Well, QB coach, I would be kind of surprised. I think it might be like what was the fucking, oh my god, I'm blanking on his name because I could not give less of a fuck. McAdoo.
Oh
What was
yeah,
McAdoo's title?
yeah. No, that's what we used to say on the radio this fall was like, borrowing the line from Office Space. What would you say you McAdoo around here?
Yeah, exactly. Like what do you do? But like I could see AVP getting a promotion to that style of job, right? So he's at least in the building around.
Because he's not getting an OC job somewhere else this year.
No, no. I don't think anyone on this staff is deserving of a coordinator job anywhere in the league, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like I just think this past year's staff was kind of a joke. Covington, I hope he works his way back up. I don't think he was ready for the job, just like Mayo wasn't ready for the job. I hope he kind of gets his shit together, because I like Covington. I think he can be a legitimate coach. I think he has some communication issues more than scheme issues.
Hmm.
But
Which
hopefully he gets
we
that
heard
shit together.
Keon White talk about in season as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, Keon's gonna love Vrabel, huh? Fuck, that's gonna be
Oh,
awesome.
I didn't even think of that. Oh my God, he's gonna be like, I can be you. They're actually they're gonna see each other and be like, bro, like
They're gonna love each other.
let's do karate in the garage.
Fuck yeah.
um, so yeah, I don't think anyone else gets brought back except for maybe those
No.
two guys as well.
Springer probably, yeah. I agree with you on Springer. Like, why not? I don't.
Yeah,
I think the special teams was kind of overrated at times. There was times where it was just like, what are we doing here? Like, this is a mess. But then they would do something good, and everyone would forget about it, which is fine. Like that's cool.
right.
But yeah, Springer, he's one of those like high energy. I don't think he's a hardo. He feels more like he has like crystals, like
Hmm.
cleansing the aura in the room. He feels like that guy to me, but I don't know him personally. Just got that vibe from him. So he might not gel with Vrabel, but he has good energy for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. So obviously the leading candidate, or so we've been told time and again. It's far from official, but going back into the nostalgia bag, what do you think about the idea of a Josh McDaniels that has been out of the league for a year and a half, who allegedly has been on the trail going to colleges and speaking to other coordinators and coaches to try to update the Rolodex and also update his play sheet and evolve as a play caller for such an opportunity? What would you think if McDaniels came back? Because spoiler, I think for somebody like Drake May, I think he would probably be, he might not be Ben Johnson, the play caller, but for Drake May, the evolving signal caller, I think he would be dynamite.
I'm warming up to it.
Okay.
Definitely warming up to it. I wasn't into it before. It's definitely better. It's an upgrade from AVP as far as I'm concerned. I like the Dynasty Patriots system far more than I like the West Coast system. I like the language better. I like the fact that May can be in charge of the offense, take some ownership over it. It's not the 30-plus-year-old center that could be out of the league in any minute because of an injury, right? That kind of threw a whole wrench in the mix. Like, once David Andrews went down, that whole system kind of crumbled. So let's put more on May. I think he can handle it. But ease him in,
Mhm.
obviously. Like, you don't have to do the full Mac year. I don't think you need to do that with him, not at this point. But yeah, I'm warming up to it. As far as like the modernizing of the system, I don't know how much of that is embellished or real. I put something out on Twitter the other day. I called it completely fabricated. I apologize, because that it wasn't really completely fabricated. I just don't know uh how much he did. I saw a couple pictures of him at USC. An afternoon at USC isn't changing your philosophy on offense. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'd have to see more on that. I'm a data guy. I need the
Yeah. Mhm.
input before I can make a decision on something, if it's real or not.
Well, what about
Um,
but what about, so if in terms of like past data though, like from the way that the Ernie Adamses and Belichick's talked about Josh McDaniels in a lot of
yeah.
those Super Bowl retrospectives, and then if you happen to watch, I'm not sure if you did, it's a good watch. My buddy Mike Dussault and Paul Perillo from Patriots.com sat down and did a lot of like a historical film review of the Patriots with McDaniels in the theater at the stadium, at the Patriots Hall of Fame. Like his knowledge, his breadth of knowledge, and his offensive savvy are impressive to say the least. And like he's great. I think a lot of the adjustments, sure, a lot of them came from Brady, but again, they were hive mind, like they were in
Yeah.
Neuralink, as they said in like Pacific Rim, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of movie references, I understand, but that's just sort of the way that this warped, beautiful mind thinks. Like that's what you need all over again, with Drake May. Like that obviously was absent last year as well. And again, may not be the most dynamic play caller, but I think in terms of just knowing when it's time to they're prepared for this. We're going to shift to this. I was the most impressed in 2018 when the passing game wasn't working and they shifted with the healthy offensive line and became a power run team.
Yeah.
That and the complementary defense helped them win that unexpected final sixth ring. So
Yeah.
that's
And it's really just about like, can he get May to see the field so he can get out of things, right? I
mhm.
feel like there was too many times this year when it was like, oh boy, he needs to get out of this look. This look is terrible. He's going to get
Yep.
fucking smoked. Pike smoked, and it's just like, no, give him the keys to the offense. Figure out, like, let him know what he's looking at, and yes, you can change it. If they do this, you switch to this. If they do this, you switch to that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that they need to evolve this offense, and let Drake make grow as a passer. Like, he needs to run the offense, in my opinion, not just be
Mhm.
some West Coast guy that just, okay, yeah,
That
hike.
offense never
Fuck.
felt like a fit to me.
I mean, some people said that it was. I don't know. I'm not really like a super schematic guy. I just know, like, okay, like, I see this work, I see that not work.
Mhm.
Let's do the thing that works, right?
Yeah.
Like, if that's good for Tua and Brock Purdy, good for them. Like, let's go. But we don't have those guys. Like, I want this kid to fucking elevate himself, because as far as I can tell, he processes things like wonderfully. Like, he sees the
Mhm.
field great. So if he can identify the defense and change the play at the line and do what he needs to do, change the protections to make sure he stays upright, these are all bonuses to me. Like, let's make the play work. Like, don't just call a play, and if it doesn't work, oh well, we got another one. No, every play should be able to work.
Yep. And I think you're long gone will be the days of Ramondre left, Ramondre right, and then pass on 3rd and 9.
Oh,
And
please.
and for that alone, I'll raise an early Gansett today. And finally, now the one that had people complain like, oh, okay, they got rid of Mayo. Wow, I can't believe Robert Kraft took the mea culpa and admitted to the mistake, and now we're moving on. That's great. But I'm still unhappy about the Elliott Wolf thing. That'll continue for a while. We were told they were going to be in place. Last week we had Tom Curran on the radio tell us if Mike Vrabel's hired, he's going to be the one making the final decision on personnel. But then Mike Giardi jumps on and says, "Oh, I think Elliott Wolf's going to be the one." I don't think Mike Vrabel's going to take this job and be told, "Here's who's going to make your draft picks for you." And on Sunday, Charles Robinson tweeted, "I'm hearing Giants personnel advisor Ryan Cowden is expected to be added to the Patriots personnel mix, but not with a GM title. I believe Wolf will retain personnel power. However, Cowden's addition to the front office is Vrabel's preference. The dynamics will be interesting." Maybe let's posit this. If somebody has enough swagger and attitude and want and will to make this work out in his favor, I would say it would be Vrabel. He may come over to Wolf and just be like, "Oh, cool, your dad was Ron Wolf and you know players and you have a grading system. That's fun, nerd. Shut up and just tell me what you think of these players. I'll make the final call."
Yeah, and that's probably what's going to happen. And I don't know if that's like, I think that might be okay with Elliot Wolf. I think he just likes scouting players and doing that thing, you know. There's a world where that works out. There's also a world where you have to keep Elliot Wolf on to run the board this year, because they need somebody. You can't just have Vrabel scout these guys that they've been scouting for years in 2 3 months and make the picks. It's just not feasible. So you
Mhm.
need to keep Wolf at least for a few months, right? Until at least through the draft. And then after that, maybe they can work it out. Maybe they can't.
Right.
I guess we'll find out pretty soon after the
Yeah,
draft, if I
because there
had to
were
guess.
draft issues at the tail end of his tenure in Tennessee as well. Like, John Robinson trades AJ Brown. He's
Yeah.
pissed. Obviously, Traylon Burks never works out the same way. He and Rand Carthen don't get along. Then he wears the red jacket. He gets fired. You can let me bring it back to Parcells to go full circle and see what you think here. If you're going to hire Mike Vrabel and you want him to impart his wisdom, his intensity, his knowledge, and his passion for the game on your organization to clean it up and try to restore it to its something of its former glory, hashtag make New England do their job again, then you ought to at least allow him to buy some of the groceries.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, but not uh, maybe like in certain areas, like the trenches, linebackers, maybe running backs. I don't know if he should be scouting and
Mhm.
selecting his wide receivers. I don't know how much input he had on Traylon Burks. Probably none, just because he hated that fucking whole situation. So I can't put that on him, actually. But who knows? I mean, there's personnel guys for a reason. Bill Belichick is one of one. I don't know why you would hire a coach to be a Belichick clone and like try and do everything
Mhm.
again, modernize everything. Let's create a bunch of jobs and have responsibilities and figure out who's good at their jobs and keep the people that are good at their jobs and get rid of the people that aren't. creating just like this one blob of Mike Vrabel does everything, and then if everything sucks, he just fires somebody, and then that's the solution.
Oh, we can't go down. We can't go
We
down
can't
the
do that.
autonomy
No.
oligarch emperor road. No, it
But if
has.
you're picking like all the players, then that's kind of where you're headed, right? Like I'm a division of state guy. Like, okay, like
Mhm.
let's let the nerds and the
Oh yeah.
scouts like pick the players. You can absolutely be like, I want this guy. Like, I have a threshold for. I
Mhm.
want him to fucking like. I want him to be raised by his grandmother, like in a trailer park. Like, okay, well, find that guy because that guy's gonna fucking work hard, right? Like, that's okay. Like, but if you're like I don't know, picking the guy in the third round because I don't know. I'm fucking rambling.
No, but I get you. Like I love you know, crazy thing is and Lord only knows how it's gonna be in our country 5, 10, 20 years from now. I kind of like an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a
Yeah,
judicial branch. I like checks and balances as well. Like
division of power. I'm all into it.
correct. I'm with you 1,000% on that. And I'm hoping that you have this is where I want it to be. This is where like last year was all about the collaborative effort. No, it didn't work out. As a matter of fact, it was just a
Yeah.
collaborative mess. Now this is how it's supposed to be. Hopefully we'll see the proper definition of collaborative brought back to the nation building, the football building. Yes, exactly. Please, yes, and thank you. Once again, on Monday, as we record this podcast, Vrabel will be introduced about an hour from now if you're watching on the live stream. If not, you've probably already heard him be introduced and you're enjoying this podcast as well. Please give my buddy Beau a follow at Boorish_sports. Great snarky tweets, great football mind, great data, great analysis, all sorts of great stuff. I found him about a little less than a year ago. It's been a great follow. Hopefully he'll continue to be a guest and jump on every now and again with us here on the pod. I definitely owe him a beer or a case of Celsius for doing so.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
indeed. And this is your old pal, Nick Fitzy Stevens, saying thank you once again for listening to the latest Six Rings and Football Things from WEEI Odyssey and 2400 Sports. We'll do our job in trying to help New England do their job again. I think a little respect. I think a proper franchise is on the horizon. Don't expect greatness overnight. Baby steps, but these baby steps happen to be taken by a giant person. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon here on Six Rings. Good day, God.